Well, good morning and welcome. Welcome to launch of spring 2022. I hope you found some time for rest and frankly, some time for joy during the break. I'd like to start this morning by recognizing our trustees. And I know we have a couple of them here in the room this morning and others are watching online like many of you are doing. Chairperson Greg Musil, Treasurer Lee Cross, Secretary Nancy Ingram, and Laura Smith-Everett. And they're now joined. And now trustees Musil and Ingram are in the room with us for sure. And now that the lights are on, I'm not sure if anybody else came in. But they're also joined by three newly elected trustees, Mark Hamill, Joy Kosten, and Dawn Rattan. Thank you so much, trustees, for your leadership and your service to our college. So today I have 5 topics that I'd like to address during our time together. We'll start with the things that you're most proud of. We'll look at professional learning day changes, quick look back at the semester we just completed. We'll take a look at the strategic plan and related priorities. We'll take a look into the future, and we'll close out right back at the beginning with what you told us you were most proud of related to our students. So, just before the break, I asked you what you were most proud of. And so I thought it would be good to start with appreciation and recognition. There's always a risk of calling out individuals or departments or branches for their good work and for leaving out others who are also doing exceptional work. So I ask you, please keep in mind that I'm reporting this morning on what many of you shared with me. Many of you shared with me your personal highlights. There were weddings and births and renewed commitments to personal health, like giving yourself permission to care for yourself and for your family, and frankly, for slowing down. You shared that you've worked hard to find balance between family and work during the pandemic. The single parents caring for college-going kids and aging parents. And learning how to say no in order to meet the needs of your family, to grieve losses, and to raise and educate your children. You received awards and recognition, such as the Impact Award from the Climate Energy Project. You designed and delivered new courses like the new digital sculpture production course that involves new software and 3D printing, all coming together in a blend of art and technology. And you tried new things and received lots of appreciation from our students. Let's recognize our colleagues for taking care of themselves and others, for celebrating milestones, for getting published, receiving awards, and so on. I also asked for recognition of the departments and their branches. And again, the positives kept coming. Our Black Student Union advisors, Larissa Nelson and Catherine Schrag and Megan Casey, for doing incredible work. The Hersteiner Child Development Center goes above and beyond to assist families. And Dining Services has shown incredible creativity during the pandemic in meeting the needs of our students and you, our faculty and staff. Our Ed Tech Center team continues to do amazing things in the ways they support faculty. The Return to Campus Task Force, and specifically calling out Elisa Pacer and Sandra Warner, has provided sound leadership and attended to the concerns and needs of so many across our college. Another colleague wanted to recognize the grassroots efforts of our DEI committee, and again, specifically Christy Howell and Andrea View. Several of you identified the great startup work of our staff council with appreciation for the work that was built on from the shared governance task force and the staff council members' efforts. Leslie Quinn and Jeff Hoyer, you've been incredible leaders. And all the representatives of the staff council have been so genuinely concerned about the issues that come up and how to address them. Our foreign language faculty, who are committed to oral proficiency and not just memorization. Another faculty member wanted to recognize the privilege of working with expert instructors who are committed to teaching others the trades and the skills and knowledge needed for success. And we have some pretty amazing supervisors who care about their employees, like David Brooks. One colleague wanted to recognize her business department colleagues who encouraged her when she needed it most. You might not know it, but our electricity here on campus is practically carbon-free. Our marketing and admissions departments created materials that allowed people to do their jobs when out in the high schools. And our International Immigrant Student Services team is passionate in supporting students, bringing in speakers on immigrant and immigration issues, and earning the support of our alumni. Our legal studies colleagues go above and beyond as they transition to online delivery, participating, as many of you did, in extra training, partnering with ed tech, and kept asking students what they could do to be more helpful. Our counseling team supports students dealing with stress and anxiety and mental health concerns. Thank you to our faculty and staff who are making those intentional connections so that students get the help they need in partnership with counseling. Another colleague wanted to recognize her department, Strategic Communication, for how supportive we are of each other, both of our personal needs and for our professional development, and our commitment to maintaining high morale during uncertain and at times confusing times. We've been able to give everyone flexibility to do their best work while making sure that we're available to each other and to our college community and maintaining a high level of quality in the work we provide. And this one I want to draw special attention to: our beautiful curated flower beds. It's as if you delight in surprising us with flower beds that are frankly more artful than just a garden. Our staff members who we see walking around campus with students to help them find the provide additional assistance in helping students find campus resources, and faculty and staff who help students expand their minds and their horizons, our very mission. Thank you for our departments and our branches for serving our students so incredibly well. And then many of our colleagues described what they were most proud of related to our college-wide. The way we worked to keep each other safe during the pandemic, as well as regular COVID-related communications. The way we care about and for each other. Our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. One said, "I'm proud of the college for its commitment to strategic planning, for really wanting to have staff and faculty from all levels and departments in the college be integral in the planning process." And the way we've navigated through COVID and yet remained committed to serving students and to doing it well. And the advances we've made in student wellness, including the Exercise is Medicine video, which placed second in the nation. And through the vaccine incentive, you provided some 4,900 meals through the Meal Share program. Yeah, that I heard a clap. That's worth a clap. And we were able to add to that, through the use of federal COVID funds, additional 289 students who would be served through the Meal Share support. Please help me thank our departments and our college community for the way we work so hard to care for our students. So as you're aware by now, changes to what's historically been PDD week have been made. Farrell Janab and Rachel Haynes approached me during the fall about changes they were proposing to the week and beyond. And I believe that with professional learning days, we've increased inclusivity and focus. And this approach then allows us to spread more of the learning intentionally throughout the year. This week, there'll be 3 keynote speakers on student success, DEI, and employee engagement. In addition, our strategic plan leaders will be providing updates on each of the 4 goals and the related strategies. And then I also want to remind you that this afternoon, actually there's a poster session right after this, and then this afternoon, our faculty who have been on sabbatical will be doing presentations. So I invite you to join us for those 5 presentations, all via Zoom this afternoon. All right, so let's take a quick look now at the fall semester and a few of what I think are the highlights. Our construction partner, McCown Gordon, and their subcontractors are making really good progress with the science building, CLB, and related renovations. WCMT 111 was converted into swing space this past summer for organismal biology, and will continue to use that space through the summer of '23. The former WLB building, the welding labs there were converted into 5 biology labs and will be used again through summer of '23. There's a number to pay attention to there. The CLB labs are currently under construction, and the work on the west side of the building will continue through March of this year. Most of the interior demolition is done, and they've been building back the interior space. And the part of the building which is not yet was not renovated as part of the project has been reopened for faculty and staff, and will reopen to students next week when classes begin. The construction of the CLB labs is scheduled to be completed in phases between now and the end of summer of this coming summer '22. And classes will resume in this new space this coming fall. With regard to the work that hasn't been started, the Rainier Center biotech labs are currently in the bidding process. Construction will happen over the spring and summer. Midwest Trust Center's rooms 232 and 234 will become swing space for the next school year, with the remodeling work to happen between May and August. And the science building remodel is scheduled to begin in August and completed by the end of May '23. And from my standpoint, what's in addition to the space that this will create for us is it's both on time and within budget. So thanks for the collaboration that you're providing college-wide and the patience as we live through this project together. Lots of work has also been done around programmatic accreditations. The construction management program had their site visit by the American Council for Construction Education. Dental hygiene had their visit from CODA, and several of you submitted reports to the National Association of Concurrent Enrollment Partnerships, or NACEP. In addition, so did our neurodiagnostic and respiratory care programs. Thank you for your work there. Over the fall, a group has been working in partnership with Johnson County Mental Health to bring clinical services to campus. The plan is that hopefully starting in February to have our councils work collaboratively with the licensed mental health care clinician to serve our students. The clinician will be available to provide diagnostic services and ongoing psychotherapy options and direct referrals to Johnson County Mental Health Services. During the fall all staff, I referenced concerns that I had that were impacting student success, such as remediation and appropriate placement. In September, Dr. McLeod and I met with the math department to present 3 things that I believe needed to be addressed: a move to co-requisite remediation, multiple measures, and Quick Step Plus. Now, it was fairly widely communicated that our initial meeting went pretty rough. And I don't mean to make light of that whatsoever. But since that time, our math faculty, under the leadership of Beth Edmonds, has made huge gains. And I am incredibly pleased with their progress. The plan is to implement multiple measures for placement related to Quick Step Plus classes for fall of 22, and more broadly with spring of 23. And the plan is for co-requisite remediation courses to be implemented for the fall of 23. In addition to the research and efforts of the math department, they've also proposed moving to math pathways, an approach that's been implemented at many community colleges across the country. In essence, instead of almost every degree-seeking student being required to take college algebra, you have 3 or more options, depending on the program of study, whether it's tech math, quantitative reasoning, college algebra track. Those are just examples. Dr. McLeod and I are thrilled with this recommendation, and we're also exploring other options to increase equitable access for students seeking to take Quick Step Plus classes, such as cost issues. Our debate team, and I want to call specifically Thomas and Travis Babcock, have been invited to compete later this month in the Rutgers Round Robin. It's the first time in college history, that we've been invited to this event. Going up against the likes, and listen here, Harvard, Liberty, Emory, Michigan, Texas, Berkeley, Dartmouth, Minnesota, Kentucky, and yes, Kansas. So I'd also like to recognize our coaches, Justin Stanley and Matt Vega. Well done, and let's go Cavaliers. So let's turn our attention now to the strategic plan and other key college priorities. The planning work is mostly done, and now it's time to begin implementing the strategic plan, where I believe the hardest work is yet still ahead of us. As I shared repeatedly in our all-staff meetings since joining the college, we must increase enrollment via equitable retention with progress, graduation rates, and proven and evidenced post-completion success. As we implement our strategic plan, we'll move closer and closer to strategic excellence, where everything is aligned to and driven by our commitment to equitable student success. I don't believe that we need to pursue, if you will, the Aspen Prize for the sake of winning the recognition or even the $1 million prize, but rather for the benefit of our students and our community. It will show up, the work will show up in gains around fall-to-fall retention and graduation rates, and looking at the efficiency with which we serve students as measured by the number of graduates per 100 FTE. And frankly, becoming really, really good at disaggregating data and using it to improve how we serve students. I believe that the Kansas Promise and maximizing the use of that scholarship program for our students is integral to our community and our regional success. And again, we'll send out reminder information about the details of the scholarship, but in essence, it provides last dollar scholarship support for students in high wage, high demand, what I would call high value programs, to provide support for them. And it's an exciting opportunity to help us serve students and serve our community. So watch for InfoHub as we push more information out to you as a reminder. In addition to focusing strategically, we also need to strive for operational excellence. And I want to recognize our human resources team for the progress that they've made in the last year, building on the work that they've done in the past towards operational excellence. Well done, HR. This morning, many of you heard, along with me, from Dr. Maria Harper-Marinick to her keynote address regarding student success. And to build on her comments, getting students on an academic plan is critical to their success. Academic plans with deliberate sequencing of courses specific to the program of study are what most exemplary community colleges have adopted. The math department's proposal for math pathways fits perfectly in line with guided pathways work that's been prioritized within our strategic plan. In academic planning, both the tools and the guided pathways set students up for success by giving them a clear roadmap. Later this week, we'll hear from Dr. Precious Porras regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'd like to speak a little bit more specifically to DEI. Over the past 6 months or so, I've had the opportunity to participate in a President's Racial Equity Leadership Program through the Aspen Institute and the University of Southern California. The final assignment in that program was a reflection, and I'd like to share a few excerpts from that this morning. I believe that our college is firmly dedicated to excellence and demonstrates a commitment to student success. At times, that work is reflected in how we support students who are on a path towards their own success. Our committed pursuit of DEI will require us to embrace all students and more students, and supporting them as they move from where they are to where they want to be will require deliberate effort, focus, reflection, and adaptation. Doing this work will require us to make tough decisions, some of which may turn out to be less effective than others. And with any innovative practice, trying and failing remains a better path than failing to try. I believe that as a college community, all of us, including myself, must pursue our work through an equity lens. We cannot do this important work merely for the sake of DEI or even for the sake of developing and fostering a DEI culture for that culture's sake. We must continue this work for the benefit of our students and the entire community we serve. To me, doing this work should be reflected in equitable student outcomes related to access, persistence, goal attainment, completions, and yes, success beyond JCCC, looking at both transfer and employment. So here are what I believe are important next steps that allow us to be aligned from our strategic plan and the broader work of the DEI committee. First, let's identify and study community colleges and other higher ed institutions who have implemented high-impact practices. The work done by MGT Consulting as part of the DEI study, that's a good start. We need to continue to implement improvements to our employment practices and processes. Doing so will increase the diversity of our applicant pools, which will, in the long run, increase the opportunity to hire, promote, and retain a more diverse faculty and staff. I believe that we need to design and fund a DEI leadership support structure to drive the work and the results. Support mechanisms are necessary. They're necessary if we're going to close those equity gaps for student success and in our employment practices. We need to more fully develop our skills, as I said earlier, in disaggregating data and using the data to identify equity gaps and monitor the results of high-impact practices. These skills must be developed and used across the college among faculty and staff, administrators, and trustees if we're going to achieve the desired result of eliminating equity gaps. We need to develop and implement positive, proactive accountability measures and practices. So often accountability takes on this punitive sense or tone, and doing so will not promote the equitable outcomes we seek. A proactive, affirming approach to accountability focuses on explaining and teaching, on encouraging and promoting, rather than that more traditional approach that appears to be more punitive. My near-term desire is to bring an expert in DEI accountability to the campus and possibly the broader community. I believe the work must start with racial equity and then allow the data and student employee experience and the needs of our community drive the next step or the next steps with regard to equity. So why do I believe that this is an imperative for Johnson County Community College? If we do not act, far too many students will be underprepared for their futures. If we do not act, employers will not have the workforce they need to grow their businesses and fuel our economy. However, when we do act in an intentional and tangible manner, students, employers, and our communities will thrive. And the result will be that culture that we desire, a culture of belonging among all stakeholders. To focus on this work, frankly, is to fully live out our mission, our vision, and our values. So, switching the gears. You'd probably think I was dodging bullets if we didn't talk about COVID at least for a quick minute this morning. Our top priority is to maintain our learning environment that exists in classrooms, in offices around campus, and in the virtual world. As I've said repeatedly, our protocols, whether cleaning and wellness checks and temperature checks and vaccinations, and yes, required masks are working. At this point and into the foreseeable future, we will keep doing what's working so that we can keep serving students and together we can keep learning. In the fall all-staff meeting, I said that we'd start holding listening sessions at various dates and times so that we can hear directly from you. While I might start with a couple comments at the beginning, I plan to come to these with no agenda other than to listen. The first of these sessions is scheduled for a couple Mondays from now, January 24th. And it'll be held in the Hudson Auditorium. So again, watch InfoHub for more information. I started our time together celebrating and recognizing what many of you have told us about what you're most proud of related to our college, individuals and departments and branches. So perhaps the best place for us to close out our time together today is what you told me you were most proud of related to our students. So, a record 53 students earned Kansas high school diplomas through our GED exam and work. Our students routinely and regularly express their appreciation for the scholarship support that you and so many donors provide. One of you said, "I'm proud that my students fight through abuse and generational poverty and mental and physical illness and still come to class. And yes, still graduate. They're my inspiration to do better and to be better. And their hard work and pride in attending school shows through, and often they come back later to tell us about that." You shared that the tough times during COVID, that you remained committed during these days, filling courses to the max, whatever that means today, right? As more students have returned to campus this fall, I admired their resilience. As I reflect, one person said, as I reflect over the last months, and this is a direct quote, as I reflect over the last months, I am most proud of connecting on a deeper level with my students. With masks in place, and expressions more difficult to read, I find I had to look at the expression in their eyes and their body language to learn what they were feeling. I'm in a class that's face-to-face, so I watched to see where they sat, how attentive they were, how they did on their exams. And when I noticed a student sitting in the back of the room and not appearing to be attentive, I struck up a conversation with them, sometimes before class or on a break, and even invited them to move up closer to the front so that we could be more interactive. If they didn't do well on an exam, I invited them to meet with me. During COVID times, there's more anxiety and depression among our students. They need small acts of kindness to realize their teacher cares about their success. You might say student success is up to them. They must be motivated, the student. Well, it's true that they must be motivated. Sometimes it's knowing someone cares that unleashes the motivation and calms the anxiety or depression getting in the way of their success. By the way, I saw student grades improve with some of the students and had several tell me the difference that our communications made. I appreciate the honor of being able to work with our students. This comes from Colleen Dugan, one of our nursing faculty members. That sums it up. That sums it up. We exist for our students. These are a few examples of what makes you proud as our colleagues. And I'm confident that each of you could share story after story about how you feel when our students succeed. Help me recognize our students as reflected in these few examples. What I've shared in my comments this morning is all directly connected to presentations or remarks that I've made over the 18 months that I've been here. I'm not proposing anything new this morning or planting any new seeds, but I will tell you these next 18 months are critical, absolutely critical to our success as a college. And my role, I believe, during this time is to keep us focused on executing the strategic plan and these identified priorities. As we launch the start of this semester, spring 2022, I want to encourage you, each of us, to take care of yourself, to take care of each other, to take care of our students, and to take care of Johnson County Community College. Thank you. Let's have a great semester. Thank you.